We have Adam McKinnon, who's already been half introduced. He's the Managing Director of Magmatic Resources. So Magmatic completed the acquisition of an advanced gold copper target portfolio in the East Lachlan from Goldfields Limited. Goldfields had completed a major phase of target generation across 4 main projects: Wellington North, Parks, Mile, Moorfield, identifying over 60 targets. So Adam, are you over that side? You're just trying to throw me. So please welcome Adam McKinnon from Magmatic Resources.
Thanks very much. It's really good to be here. I'm actually relatively new to Magmatic. As Glenn mentioned, I was previously with Aurelia, where we discovered a few things in the Cobar Basin. But as I mentioned, Magmatic recruited me. I've been the MD for Magmatic now for just on 3 months, so it's been a pretty steep learning curve. But I'm really pleased to have a chat to you why I think Magmatic is prime for discovery. Is this working? So Magmatic is much like AJC. We're a New South Wales-based company operating in the East Lachlan region. We've got 571 square kilometres of ground in 3 main project areas. Now, this area is, as most people here will know, an absolute world-class region for not just exploration but for mining. Greater than 85 million ounces of gold in the area and greater than 14 million tonnes of copper. Really is world-class. As I mentioned, our 3 main project areas: Wellington North is in the Molong Belt, a long strike from Cadia, one of Australia's, or if not Australia's, largest gold producer. We're also immediately adjacent to Alkane's Boda discovery. Now that's the most recent major discovery in New South Wales, 10 million ounces gold equivalent. So an absolutely fantastic discovery, not just for that region, but also for New South Wales and Australia. Over to the west, we have the Mile project in the Junee Narromine Belt. It's a long strike from the North Parks mine. And then we've got our Parks project, which is a long strike to the south of Tomingley, once again, an Alkane operation. Throughout the area, we have a number of advanced targets. All of our project areas have existing mineralisation, existing drill hits, and we've got a number of different styles or discovery target types, and they range from large, medium-grade copper gold and gold copper porphyries up to high-grade orogenic and epithermal type targets. So just a little bit about the company itself. Magmatic was actually listed in 2017. It was a divestment out of Goldfields. At the time, Goldfields had spent $14 million on grassroots exploration over the East Coast, and for various reasons, they were actually, for corporate reasons, they decided they were getting out of exploration in this part of the world. So Magmatic was formed and, as I mentioned, listed in 2017. Goldfields obviously remain a major shareholder of the company. Our directors are also obviously hold a very large chunk of the share registry as well, along with a significant chunk from high net worth shareholders. So once again, relatively tightly held. As at last quarter, we had $6 million, and which sort of sits us in good stead for our current exploration program. We're a Perth-based company, but we have an exploration office in Orange, which is pretty close to all of our project areas. Glenn mentioned we actually share an office, which is good for cross-fertilisation, if you want to call it that, of ideas, but also really helps us keep the costs down and helps us pour more money into the drill bit, basically. Just keep going. All right, so one of the things that really struck me when I started with the company was just the number of really high quality targets, and not just high quality targets, but actually high quality intercepts already drilled. When we're looking at Wellington North, it really does have some spectacular targets. We're obviously operating. You can see there we're very, very close to the Boda discovery. In fact, we pretty much surround the Boda discovery. We actually have a number of lookalike targets, both in terms of geochemistry, geophysics, and also actual drill intercepts. Many of the drill intercepts you'll see listed there actually have similar grades to the global resources at Cadia down to the south. So, yeah, a really great area. One of the other things we've been looking at over the last 6 months is high-grade gold in the historic Badangara Goldfield. That's once again over on the eastern side of that project area. We've also, in the last year, we've been drilling porphyry targets, once again a Boda style, or searching for a Boda style discovery, particularly at Rose Hill and Lady Ilsa. So as I mentioned, the Badangara Goldfield it's actually one of Australia's earliest gold producers. Historically, it produced 230,000 ounces between 1869 and 1917 at a spectacular average grade of 26 grams per tonne. The Badangara mine area itself is only 3 kilometres from that Boda discovery. And there is a potential, just based on the geology and some of the geochemistry, that it may be distally related to some of these porphyry type styles of mineralisation, both potentially at Boda, but also some of the porphyry hits on our own ground, like Lady Ilsa. So in the last month, we've actually been drilling the Dix Reward workings at Badangara. There's 2 sets of historic workings, the Mitchells Creek mine in the east and the Dix Reward workings in the west. Dix Reward is interesting in that it wasn't mined out in the early days. It did have some high grade remnant areas left. It's also quite a shallow deposit, so potential there for an open cut operation. We don't have the assays back for that latest round of drilling yet. We're looking at getting those in July. But we can say that the Clough Minerals, who actually went back into the mine during the late 1980s, they did a fair bit of channel sampling. And just by coincidence, I managed to actually meet the geologist last night who did that sampling more than 3 decades ago, just out of sheer luck, which is quite pleasing, I have to say. So yeah, look, the Dix Reward remains open in multiple directions, and we're looking at it as as potential extensions, but also potential repeats of these high-grade lode systems. The other thing we have been doing in this area is we've done a regional reconnaissance, geochemical and geophysical reconnaissance program. We've identified quite a significant coincident gold, copper and lead anomaly sort of between the existing workings, and that's something we'll look to follow up later in the year. Due to the weather, Glenn mentioned the weather, it's been affecting lots of people in New South Wales. We have struggled to get into some of these drill locations, and we didn't manage to get the down dip portions in the centre of Dix Reward, and that's somewhere we'll look to follow up later in the year, pending drier weather as well. So moving over to our Mile project, this is something that's really a project that's really sort of got everyone in our organisation quite excited. Mile is the Mile project is really located it's an intrusive complex, and it's one of the 3 main intrusive complexes on the Junee Narromine Belt. You can see there the other 2 are actually very major operations. The Cowell operation plus 11 million ounce operation, and then you've got North Parkes, which is, well, starting with gold, plus 5 million ounces and 4.4 million tonnes of copper. So very, very significant operations. Mile is the only, you can see in the gravity image there in the geophysics, it's the only other significant intrusive complex on that belt. Not only that, it has a number of known, existing, and quite significant grade porphyry copper gold hits already. So I'll just continue on here. So what we've got here is basically a direct comparison between the North Parkes porphyry cluster and our Mile project. You can see in terms of scale and in terms of the copper geochemistry that those two images are at the same scale. There is a lot of similarities between the two projects. One of the key characteristics of these porphyry or North Park style porphyry deposits is they have a very, very large vertical extent, but they're quite restricted or pipe-like in terms of surface expression. They tend to form in these clusters and they surround these monzonite bodies. So we're in the right geology. The age of the rocks is very similar, if not the same, from what we understand at the moment. And just recently, our board has actually approved a 3,000 metre diamond program at the site, and this program will be the most significant diamond drilling effort at this prospect. What we're targeting here is a significant porphyry copper gold North Parkes style discovery. If you look at this cross section, this is a cross section through the most heavily drilled section of the Mile area at a prospect called Kingswood, which is the main prospect area. We can see that the geology sits very favourably in comparison to the North Parkes, adjacent to the monzonite body. Last year, Magmatic drilled a hole, 412, on the western side. It actually hit 380 metres at 0.2 copper, obviously very interesting, with some higher grade intervals in there at plus 0.6. On the western side, on the eastern side of the monzonite, there's a couple of holes that were drilled by Newcrest 2 decades ago now, in 2003. And one of those, 77 metres at 0.55% copper and 0.15 grams per tonne gold. That is basically exactly the same as the global resource grade for North Parkes. So that's why we're quite excited about this project. There has been very little work done around that Newcrest drilling in 20 years. So one of the big targets, not only the Kingswood area, but the Kingswood North or Kingswood East area around these Newcrest holes will be drilled in the upcoming program. And just lastly, touching on our last area, the Parkes project area, it's located along strike to the south, around 25 kilometres south of the Tomingley gold operations, once again an Alkane operation. It's also a discovery hotspot, and credit to Alkane again. The San Antonio and Roswell gold deposits have been discovered in this geological province in recent times, and at the moment they're growing, but at the moment sitting at 1.3 million ounces. We've already got some hits on here that are sort of equivalent to the early hits in those deposits, including at McGregor's, 16 metres at 1.22, and at Stockman's, 22 metres at 0.8. And these are quite shallow as well. So plenty of scope there to follow up and potential for the discovery of a Tomingley style shallow open pitable gold deposit. So to sum up the investment proposition for Magmatic, really it's about the right location, the right geology, and really just massive potential for a major gold copper discovery in the region. We are in a region that hosts one of the biggest gold producers in Australia and has produced more than 80 million ounces of gold. And we're in our Wellington North project, we're immediately adjacent to the 10 million ounce equivalent Boda discovery. So with targets that look very, very similar. And with the Mile program, the most significant program to date at our Mile project, we're really confident that we're going to hit some exciting things in the near future. And thank you.
Thanks, Adam. That was Adam McKinnon from Magmatic Resources. Next, a slight change of pace. We've got Jody